In our latest feature, we speak to TJ Rooney, the president of Loacker USA, on how the business has been building its brand in America, some of the key trends it's been responding to, and significantly, how the firm has been responding to this year's pandemic, which continues to have a major impact on companies around the world.
Yeah, I mean, it has been for the industry as a whole, it's been significant. So it's been a big challenge. There have been a number of, I guess you could say some favorability in the marketplace for the snacks categories based on the pandemic, but the inability to really travel to meet many of our retail partners, to not participate in trade shows, to some of the logistic challenges, especially up front, have been significant. We've had a number of new products, some new retailers come on board, and earlier in the year, consumers in the US were not picking new products up. They didn't want to try anything new. They didn't want to touch packages that they weren't familiar with. So they really didn't understand, or no one did at the time, how the virus spread, and they wanted to just do their shopping quick and get out. So we had to really be flexible and change our plans dramatically, because one other note is demoing, product sampling, trial is a big part of our marketing strategy, and most retailers just eliminated their demo strategies altogether. So it's been a big challenge.
Absolutely, but it sounds as if you've been equal to it. And in terms of the financial impact, have you found that sales have been down, or has it proved otherwise?
So we, fortunately, we were on pace. So we had a very nice 2019, especially in the back half. So we've made a number of different changes. We've launched new items in the US. So we've had some nice trend, or very strong trend, prior to 2020. So year to date for this year, we're up from a Nielsen perspective over 58%. So we have very, very strong growth in the marketplace this year, and a lot of our growth is attributed to work that was done last year. So just this past quarter, Q3, Loacker consumption rates were up 74% versus the prior year.
Indeed, and just to put it in context, as a brand, Loacker for America, it's a question of you having to expand into the US market. How has the brand been perceived over there, do you believe?
The brand in the US, it's very, very well received in terms of it's a premium brand. So it's a premium, high quality wafer brand, and it's very much on strategy for the US. So it's if you think about lower sugar. So for instance, Loacker has half the sugar of the leading wafer. So lower sugar is one element. Nothing artificial in the product, no artificial colors, flavors, no hydrogenated fats. So a cleaner ingredient statement. It's also, our number one product in the US is Quadratini. And if you're familiar with that product, it's a unique product for the US, and it's hand to mouth, but permissible indulgence. So if you think of that consumer trend where consumers are looking for ways and permission to indulge, that our product is right on trend. And then I'd say other things is, when I joined the company started in 1925. It's a family-run company. So authenticity is extremely important, and that's really the DNA for the brand. So very authentic, real brand and product overall. So really on trend. So the brand was built in the US really over the last 5 or 10 years on many, the natural channel, many specialty channels. And more recently, as we've been expanding that distribution. So if you look at Nielsen data, is our distribution is up over 45%. So we're driving new channels, new distribution, bigger retailers. So you're starting to see us in bigger channels. But the brand really grew up on the backs of the natural channel and specialty. And part of it has to do with our cleaner ingredient statements and the product benefits I mentioned earlier. So fortunately, it's very hard to go the other way, starting more mainstream, and then you can never get into that natural channel. So we're fortunate in our evolution for growth.
And it's been a successful year in some ways in regard to the award that you've just received. Can you tell us some more about that? Thank you.
So we're very pleased. A product that we have, Tortina. So Tortina in the U.S. is a relatively small product or small brand and line for us, but it's been growing just at a real steady rate. So a small brand, it's been growing online. It's been growing with specialty retailers. It's just a phenomenal product that's been around for many decades around the world, but very new to the U.S. And the award we won was for a new line extension, which was Triple Dark. So Tortina Triple Dark, it's dark chocolate and a layer of dark chocolate in between wafers and covered in chocolate. It's just a real terrific product. It's great to be recognized for the brand.
You've been there a couple of years now. How have you found it as a personal experience?
I love it. Is my prior background, I mentioned I worked for Nabisco Mondelez. I was part of Kraft for over 20 years. It was a terrific experience for me. And what Loacker is, it's for me is something completely different, right? It's a snacking company, but Mondelez is a big multinational, publicly traded company, and Loacker, sizable company. It's a global company in over 100 markets around the world, but not being publicly traded, family run, real authenticity in the products, very premium in nature. So many of the characteristics and areas a lot of the big companies want to go into, these cleaner ingredient statements, high quality, sustainability. So the brand Loacker has been synonymous with sustainable manufacturing processes and ingredient sourcing really for over 90 years. And I see many of these big companies are looking to do that, and we're already there. So it's a really great place to be, to try to expand this brand and get awareness. We know our trial rate, when consumers try Loacker, the conversion rate is extremely high. So it's great to kind of come at it from a different angle. So it's been very refreshing for me.
That's some strong insight there, because obviously the American market remains the biggest in the world. So to get into it is a challenge in itself. So how do you go about refining products to stand out from the crowd?
I think ultimately it comes down to consumers, and it's really reaching consumers, getting the trial, and having products that consumers want. So we've been able to, I talked a little bit about getting trial in the marketplace, leveraging the right items for the US market that are on trend, and then proving their success, and then leveraging that success or showing the opportunity to potential retail partners, and then they've seen the success, right? So with a very broad assortment and range. And I think a lot of what we had to do in the US was prioritize. So we had access to many, many different product lines, and to some extent, the biggest hurdle we had was to say, well, what product line do we think has the most potential in the US? Because we can't do everything well. So we had to pick our spots. And quadratini, the little wafer squares with 4 layers of cream, we really felt was the most uniquely advantaged product for the marketplace, had the largest size, the largest awareness. So what we've been looking at is how can we just create broader distribution awareness for quadratini and try to create more ubiquity in the marketplace for our core varieties. So from a product assortment, quadratini is our #1 priority.
And just in relation to challenges in the marketplace, obviously we are in the midst of the pandemic. What are the other key issues that are giving you a test at the moment?
From a product standpoint, it's just driving the distribution. I don't know if it's necessarily a challenge, but it's driving that distribution, creating visibility at the point of shelf, and getting that trial to then build the brand. So as we expand to new distributors or new retailers, it's a game plan or challenge is getting consumers to know that we're actually in the store, in the biscuit aisle, and getting them to actually try.
Very good. That makes a lot of sense indeed. And looking ahead for next year, with regards to Sweets and Snacks Expo, how significant do you think that event's coming back after not being able to be staged this year? How important is that going to be to you when that returns?
I think it's going to be immensely important. So it'll be 2 years since we've been able to participate and have a booth and have a big presence at a major show. So we're really looking forward. The Sweets and Snacks is usually one of our anchor shows. It's the show that we premiere all of our new items for the next year, any new marketing campaigns, any big initiatives. And as we look to next year, we're going to be making some significant changes to the brand that start in the terms of packaging and design. We're also going to be reducing our packaging footprint as well, so enhancing our sustainability. But we're going to be making a couple new changes as well, and enhancements to our formula that will be premiering really at the show. So we really look forward to really make a big announcement for some of these big changes next year.